UN climate conference COP30 is at its halfway mark. Talks are set to intensify in the coming week as global leaders arrive to help push for progress. Among them, Singapore's Sustainability and the Environment Minister Grace Fu will deliver the country's national statement. We spoke earlier to CNA's Rachel Teng, who is in Belem.
Now, one big focus this year is the resubmitting of nationally determined contributions, or NDCs for short. These are self-set targets that countries have to submit for the year 2035 now. Singapore is one of the only countries or few countries to submit its NDCs ahead of the initial February deadline, and it's the only country in Southeast Asia actually that has done so on time. And this is concerning because the overall Southeast Asian region is extremely vulnerable. We're seeing more extreme weather, floods and extreme heat, and yet in countries like Indonesia are lagging behind on their plans. They have submitted NDCs, but they have yet to put out a proper plan on how to phase out fossil fuels and coal-fired power plants. And this is considering also that their fossil fuels are a big source of jobs and economic growth for the region. So we are likely to see more tense negotiations moving forward. In the second week and last week of climate talks, ministers are expected to fly down to conduct higher level negotiations. But one big question this year is who is expected to lead these climate talks. Traditionally it's been the US, but we know that under the Trump administration, they have since pulled out of the Paris Agreement. Now, this is one of the key climate deals that have underpinned climate talks for the past 10 years. And this year we're seeing that the US is not sending a delegation at all for the first time in COP history. The concern is that countries may follow along in the US's footsteps and be less ambitious with their climate targets. But we're also seeing that China seems to be filling this gap. The China Pavilion is always very crowded. There's a lot of panels and activities. They're giving out a lot of freebies, pandas, plushies, and they're also, on a more serious note, they're sending the biggest delegation this year, only second to the Brazilian host presidency. And so on the Singapore front, Minister Grace Fu, who's the Sustainability and the Environment Minister, she's set to land in Belem by Monday. And unlike previous years, she's not expected to facilitate negotiations between countries. Instead, she'll be discussing with her counterparts on how to move along carbon markets and move beyond just setting goals, but also ensuring that implementation happens on the ground and carbon projects move forward.